the audience to New Generation Women, and I'm Jeanine from Seenus. Today I have a topic that is really dear to my heart because I was not prepared for a situation that most of us have to face. What happens when our parents get old? We either take care of them or we think we have to take care of them, and we feel guilty and pressured if we don't. Many of us are facing a lot of emotional conflicts and inner conflicts and issues from the past. For this topic, I have two amazing, super interesting guests, and they have profound wisdom, experiences, and knowledge from Norway, the founder of the Institute for Trauma Work and trauma therapist, Marta Thorsheim, and the also professor in psychology and founder of the identity-oriented psychotrauma therapy and intention method in Germany, Professor Dr. Franz Ruppert. Hello and welcome from Lindau.
Hello, Jeanine.
Hello, Marta. First time we see each other. Great to see you. Great in Norway. Super. Before we start talking about how do we care for elderly parents and why does it do so much, why does it cause so much trauma in us? What is your method, Franz? Can you just shortly explain again your approach to everybody who doesn't know it yet?
Mm-hmm. Yes, as you mentioned it, I have a theory. I developed a theory since the last 30 years, and it's called identity-oriented psychotrauma theory. And to apply this theory, we use an intention. So, for example, if you have any issue with your elderly parents in the moment, you could formulate an intention. What do you want? What is your concern? What are your questions in the moment? And you write it down on a piece of paper or whiteboard or flip chart, and then choose maximum 3 words. And then in a group situation, you choose other people for resonating with each of the word, and then it will show up. What is the conflict? Also, the inner conflict inside you, in relation to your intention. There's always, when we have a serious intention, there's always some inner conflict, and that can show up during the process. And then normally at the end of the process, you're much more happier and much more oriented and know what to do now, and can solve conflict, can make decisions that you couldn't do before. And this is worth to do it.
I find it so interesting because, of course, in my generation, I've got friends who are facing exactly the same thing. Their parents get old. Sometimes they become like little children, or they become very stubborn. And there's a lot of conflict happening, a lot of emotional draining situations happening. So first of all, Marta, why do parents turn like children or become so stubborn that just by, if they have to take medicine, they don't, and then we as the children, we take the consequence for that? What happens in them? Is there something that just shuts off, or do they want to lean back and say, now you take care of me? Is there something inwardly going on?
Yeah, I think this is very individually. What is the reason behind it? But I would guess that there is a lot of also old parents that lacked the support from their parents when they were small children, and this need is still in them to be taken care of. And when the physical strength is getting weaker, maybe they more lean into what they actually need. And if they are clear and able to state an intention, I think also for them it could be good to have their own intention in a self-encounter, to see what is it really I want, what do I want, what are my needs that were not met, things like that. So, my mother is dead 10 years ago, my father, 40 years ago. So I'm not in that dilemma at the moment, but I'm myself an elderly woman. I have grown up mid-aged children, and what they say to me is that they are so happy I'm living my life, enjoying my life, and this is what they express a lot of times. So,
Marta, did you just talk about yourself as an elderly woman?
Yes, I am.
No, I was thinking, who are you talking about? Yeah, but I can understand how much relief it is for children if you have a parent who knows what she or he wants, can state that clearly. Franz, I just recently had a situation with my mother-in-law, and she died last week, which was very sudden and of course very sad for us. And because I was living there for a couple of weeks, I could see when she gets sick, so she was in a very positive state. And suddenly when she had aches and pains in her heart, she turned into a very aggressive woman. So everything, particularly I would say to her, like maybe we go to another doctor, we get a second opinion, maybe she would just go so against me. And my partner said, just don't say anything, Jeanine. Just don't say anything. I found it so hard because she has helped me out with some things. I found it natural to help her also out, but her whole personality changed into resistance, aggression, stubbornness, and then she was brought to hospital, maybe way too late, and she died right in that night. Franz, what is going on when suddenly parents, and she was never this, a grown and aware person, but she was more receptive. So when she got ill, everything changed and she got aggressive against everybody and she got completely stubborn to take anything. And it's not the first time I heard this. So what's happening in them suddenly? What is happening in their brains or in their psyche?
First, I would really confirm what Martha said, that if the person, in which state she might be, don't say do this, do that, but just ask this person, please tell me, what is your intention? What do you want in the moment? Could you please formulate it? Maybe even could you please write it down that we can look at it and you can look at it and see what you really want in it. No? That's so important, because with that, the person again takes responsibility for their own life. Yeah. And it's not up to anyone to say you have to live or you have to take medication or that. If this person is not convinced that this is something that she needs and help, you could take any medication and nothing would help. Or you could make any operation with this person and she would die anyhow. So this is something very, very important in every life situation. Before you try to be a helper, to try to help others, don't do it without having the intention of the other person, without that the other person tells you what she really needs.
No, it is because so good that you. Sorry, yes, please go ahead.
Because this is then you can see, am I the person that the person that's really able to fulfill what this person needs, what her intention is or his intention is, or is there somebody else who could do it, or how much can I do something to fulfill this something of the intention, or how less it is. So that is so important, because you helping can also be violent. Yeah? That you try to help with your best intentions, but in the end it turns out that you become giving help, become a perpetrator. And if you look at our whole medical system, you mentioned the hospital and so on, the whole medical system treats people coming there not as subjects. They tell them, you are ill, this is necessary for you, we do this and that. Yeah, but this is not how we as human beings should be treated. We should be respected as subjects that are in the end fully responsible for our health and our life, and then the others can support us. And imagine if somebody deep inside has one part of this person says, I don't want to live any longer. I'm fed up with life. I suffer so much. I do not want to live. I rather want to die. Why to do an operation? Why to do something curing this person with a lot of technology and so on? It isn't worth doing it. Yeah? It's more worth than asking the question, okay, there's a part inside you that doesn't want to go on living. There might be reasons for that. Do you have any idea where it comes from? Is it from something that happened in your life that you remember? Is it something that may be from your life, but it's far, far away that you do not remember. For example, if you're not wanted as a child, your mother tried to abort you, your mother did not love you. There is, of course, parts inside us that do not really want to live, because life becomes a burden. Life becomes something very not, you don't enjoy life. Yeah. So I think this is very important. It's one of the main, let's say, main issues of IOPT work. Ask other people before you try to help them, what is your intention?
That is so interesting. I did it completely wrong. I felt, and I come back to you, Marta, in one sec, because I think this is what so many people are telling me, or my friends are telling me in my generation. You feel helpless. You feel the need, you try to help. And I definitely felt this with my mother-in-law. I felt she did help me so much in the last weeks, so I needed to help her too. Just in the end, what you said, I felt like, did we not do enough? Should we have just brought her to another doctor? And then I felt, well, maybe it was her decision, and maybe we have to accept that. That was when I felt a calmer spot. And Marta, I come back to you in a second. Now, this goes with my mother-in-law, and she hasn't triggered so many emotions. But when it comes to my mom, there is like almost a mixture of helplessness and guilt and aggression going on. So in order to make this reasonable and calm statement and pull back from my own emotions that come up, that I think that is when you step in, both of you step in, because you both do the work also together and by yourselves. That's when you talk about clearing your past so that you can that you respond to the situation and don't react from the past. Marta, is this coming to what you also wanted to say?
No, I was more to support what Franz was saying, that when we ask if it's our elderly parents or others in need, we ask them, what do you need? What is your intention? That we also can be aware of, that is not sure that I can give you everything, but what is possible for me how is it possible for me to support you without stretching me too far away, but that the person is brought to the contact with her himself, that they can reflect on, what is my intention, what do I need? Give them this space instead of a reaction to help.
That is so good. I can see a lot of people feel very relieved when they hear that. So coming back to what I initially said, and what is also your method, Franz, when I am in this turmoil, I see my mother sick, or I feel guilty because she's lonely. In my case, my stepfather left, so I feel she's in Hamburg, I'm in Lindau, so it's 8 hours drive or 10 hours journey with the train. So I feel a lot of times guilty because I could take her more, or I should do this. And many people have that. Then you come out of guilt. So you do it not free will, you do it out of pressure. And then it becomes emotional and frustrated and angry. And there's no patience between the question of what do you need and what can I give you? Because actually you feel like I actually don't want to take care of you because I feel so loaded with guilt. So I come with this topic to you, Franz, and what then? What are you doing for us in your method, and both of you, to help us to release from the burden of guilt and the emotional?
I would do
trauma?
the same. I would ask you, what is your intention? What is your intention in relation with your mother in the moment? What is your intention in the moment? Yeah, and then you formulate an intention, and then find out, what's all about. Yeah, and where the inner conflicts are, the hidden conflicts are, and where also there is a solution.
So do you have an example of, both of you, someone who worked with you, someone who had one of those typical conflicts dealing with elderly parents, and how that has changed when they came to you, the burden they felt emotionally, and how they then dealt with their parents?
Yeah, one example was a colleague of mine, and when the mother became sick, and then she took her into her house and to take care for her. And it became more and more, the mother became more and more needy and had some Alzheimer's and too. And the more she worked to come into contact with herself, the more she could also delegate something, the care, taking care for the mother to others. And they organized what she couldn't do before, for sure, because she felt guilty. If she is not the one who is taking care for the mother, she could organize professional care. And this was good a way for her.
Oh, bless you. Let's ask
Sorry.
Marta so that you can. Do you have a story, an example from your practice?
I don't have a direct intention with helping an elderly parent, but I often see in the self-encounters that people they have this bad conscience about the parents, and they want to help them. And what they really want is that the parents should take care of them. This did not happen when they were small children. So they go into this like identification with the mother, who is again identified with her mother. So maybe the subject, the client or the subject, really wants to be mother for her mother, so that her mother can be mother for her. Mm-hmm. Can you follow me, Jeanine?
Yes, yeah. I can follow you.
So this is all needs from early childhood, mm-hmm. and its identification. And when this comes up in the self-encounter, and the subject, the people owning the intention, can see it, can acknowledge their own needs, and also feel the emotion that was suppressed in the early childhood, they get much more like clear, and they can see what it is. And from this point of clearness, they can be of support without expecting something back. Mm-hmm. They can support from like a healthy part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know also case examples that where, well, then there was not so much relation any longer between the mother or the son, but when the process of now it's the end of mother's life, then the son engaged himself even more and was living together with the mother for weeks or months, and always hoping maybe in the end, in the moment of dying, when the mother dying, maybe then she looks at him and say, "I love you," what she never did in all her life, mm-hmm. or "I want you." So, and this is something that refers to what we call the trauma of love. That there are many relationships between the mothers and children, where the mothers are, because of their own traumas, they're blocked in their feelings. They are not able to really be mothers for their children, and children expect and hope for the whole life but then the moment could come, one moment, maybe and if it's the last moment, the last opportunity, that at the end of the life, I get something from my mother that I didn't get all my life, that she looks at me and says, "I love you." But this is normally, it's not happening, it will not happen, because in the moment before you die, you do not resolve all your traumas, you do not resolve all your blockages, the emotional blockages. That's an illusion. Yeah, you will die traumatized, and so this will not happen. That you get from your mother at the last moment of life what you all wanted from her all the life. Sometimes people, I also have observed this, that they, in their love illusions, they create in the moment when the mother dies, even another love illusion. So this is because it is so, for a child, it's so impossible. It's so impossible to really understand, to really accept and acknowledge that my mother is blocked in her feelings, that she, even if she wants to be my mother, but she is not able because trauma. And if you understand trauma, then you understand human relationships. Then you also understand the relationship within mothers and children. But if you ignore trauma and do not have any clue about what trauma is and how it affects you emotionally, it affects your life, affects your relationships, you ever make yourself illusions about real relationships?
I saw a lot of people in my generation who became aware that something was missing in their childhood, or became aware that their mothers didn't give them what they needed so much. And then they tried to work it through when they were old. And I always thought like, oh, wow, that is, not the time and also the place to work through your feelings with an elderly parent. So do you say it will ever be worse to talk with your parents, to try to work through emotional issues, Marta, when they're old, or is this absolutely not the place to work through emotional issues? Are you always going to a coach or to a therapist who works with you on the trauma that happened when you were a child yourself?
Yeah, I would suggest people to do this professionally, to look into their intention, have their own intention, and not confronting or adding more to the parents. It's my experience is that the parents, it doesn't help to go to the parents. Maybe sometimes a parent could say, yes, I know I did you wrong, but that is not what usually is happening. What usually is happening if you confront your parents or you blame them is that they go into like confrontation and try to explain. And so much better to go to work on your not met needs in a setting like with the intention method. And then you can make yourself clear. And then, this I have experienced, then you can see your mother as the old woman she now is. Mm. The expectation that she should give you motherly care or attention, see you and love you, then this fades away, because you are then, maybe you're also coming into contact with that, I love me, I can take care of me. I don't need others to do that. I love me. I want to live. I want to love. I want to be loved by myself. And you see both mother and father as the elderly people they are. You see them as they are, not through the trauma glasses or that you want them to be as you wanted them to be when you were a child. Mm-hmm. And also I think it helps to, because this is, IOPT is not about blaming the parents, not at all. Not at all. It is to see the truth as it is and to acknowledge what I didn't get. And when we think about all the traumas in the generations, our generation, the generations behind us, and it is fully understandable that our parents was not able to be there for us as when we were small children.
Thank you so much. I try always to make it relatable to the audience, also those who have not had so much therapy experiences yet. Very often they think, okay, I must forgive my parents. Maybe I must forgive them for who they are now. It sucked what happened in my past, but now they're elderly people. So I remember a colleague, her mother did kind of horrible things when she was a child, and she suffered a lot. And then she died, and she was not in Germany at that time. And she decided not to come to her funeral, which was very rare. And all the sisters, they never thought that exactly she wouldn't come to the funeral. She said, no, I'm not coming. I hated her so much. She did so much trauma in my life. I'm not coming. To me, that feels like a hardened heart. And that feels like almost it goes against us or against me. What is forgiveness? Where does forgiveness take place when we let go of our elderly parents or when we take care of them, even if they haven't been the dream parents we wish we would have?
Again, it's important to understand trauma. That trauma causes you to split internally. You split off from yourself and split off your feelings. And the idea that forgiveness could forgiving someone could heal a trauma is an illusion. It doesn't heal your trauma. You stay in the split, maybe even deepening the split, because then the focus is in the outside, the focus is with the other person. And then those parts inside you that you split off and you denied all your lifetime are even more angry, yeah? That you again are in contact with someone who was a perpetrator against you. So forgiveness, in a way, I have seen it in processes, even could deepen the split inside yourself. So there is no way of healing, no way of heal a trauma. It doesn't even, of course, it does not heal the trauma in the other person too, yeah? Because the other person only can heal her trauma and her split if she is really interested in that and wants to do it. Yeah? And so the only thing what is needed that you reconcile with yourself, yeah? That there's a reconciliation inside yourself with those parts of you that you have ignored because of the love illusions you have towards your parents. Then you ignored your own needs and did a lot of things that pleasing the perpetrator, because then in this case parents are perpetrators against you, and this of course is then a lifelong betrayal of yourself. And this would be, if you would like to use a term like reconciliation, that is, you do not have to reconcile with the perpetrator, but you have to reconcile with you as the victim, and have suffering so much wounds in your early development that it really nearly cost your life.
Is forgiveness taking any place in your approach? I learned forgiveness as you don't accept and like what happened, but you forgive in order to move forward for yourself. This is how I learned years ago what forgiveness is.
This is just an idea. It's just so many ideas we have, what is healing, what is helpful. If you look deeper, it may be on the surface. Yeah? Like many what we call in IOPT surviving strategies, yeah. For a while they make maybe they make some parts of you a little bit calmer, but it doesn't last forever. And it's the conflicts are not solved. So for me, in IOPT work, I would call this idea of forgiving another surviving strategy. One of many of those surviving strategies we can use in order not to feel our own trauma.
I totally can relate to what you're saying, Marta. You said it's not about blaming the parents because they went through their own trauma, and we had, Second World War, so they come from a difficult situation, our parents in this generation. How do you then, take the situation, we feel burdened, we go and see a professional, we reconcile with ourselves again, we feel more whole again. From that more healthy space, how are we then relating to our elderly parents if we need to take care of them? What is different? How do we feel then? What is your experience?
My experience is that then I can see more clearly that this is an old woman. She is my mother. She's an old woman. And I can be more clear what I'm willing to, how much I'm willing to support her. And I could ask her, what do you need? And I can say what I am willing to do. Not as before, when I had this idea that if I do everything I can, she will love me. Because if I have cleared this in myself, I know that this longing is coming from my childhood. That as a child needed this mother, but as a grown-up, I don't need a mother like that. I can see the woman she is, and it eases me. It is much easier to handle the situation when I am clear what is my need. And I can then ask her, what do you need? And I can decide how much am I, or what can I do without sacrificing myself again.
So it's a whole illusion. If we think we are helping our parents and feel pushed or pressured or guilty, it's actually not about our parents. It's we try to always still try to find the love we miss in the past. And from that old motivation, we are trying to help our parents, which consequently drains our energy. It's not the parents that drain our energy, but the emotional wound of the past. Is that right? Did I understand that right? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that's really eye-opening. And I also know a girlfriend, and I had the same issue. Now, I'm very lucky that my mother is independent and lives independent in Hamburg. But I know that sometimes, because she's not complaining a lot, but I can feel that Sundays is a very heavy day for her. It's a day where she cannot go shopping or out. It's like a lonely day. And I hear this so often from girlfriends. They say, I tell my mother to do this or come here, and then they don't do it. And then I feel guilty because she's not doing this. And she is maybe complaining she is so alone. What are you telling? Because I try to get as many stories I heard into the talk show, that people find their answers or feel what you're saying on different levels. What would you tell them, both of you? Question goes to both of you. Franz, you're smiling. Okay, go ahead.
You already said it. You already said it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What do you want? What is your intention? If you are, when you feel guilty, or when you, what's about you? What do you want from the situation, from your mother? And yes, it is the most important thing.
So it always goes, before we help our parents in any way, the best is to really go and clear ourselves first, right? To find some wholeness in ourselves, from where we have a very different mirror to the outside, right? And the motivation will then be very different. Marta, you wanted to say something?
I want to say, like, when you talked about your friend's mother, she's obviously up and going since she's out shopping and things like that. And she could also say, what is her intention? Why is she complaining to her daughter about her life? She could have her own intention. What does she really need? What does she really want?
And maybe we say something from our experiences when we're working with people, and the mother relationship is very often in the focus. And you see how relieved mothers sometimes are if the children are no longer demanding something from them, and wanting something that they could not give them, that they feel they are unable to give the child this, what the child needs. Yeah? And so so much relief when they realize, oh, now finally my child, I'm alive, and I can see my child is now taking responsibility for his own life. And I'm not longer the person that is responsible for this child. It's such a relief. Yeah? Give this. Give this your mothers and fathers, children. Yeah, this, when they are old, give them this relief that you take care for your own, take responsibility for your own life, and let them in peace.
Yeah, that's reframing the whole situation. Could almost be like a rescue when it's happening. It happens to most of us when our parents get old. It's another chance for a more unconditional love, or more freer love, or to step out of the illusion of love, in your words. And that, to see it not as a burden, but to see it as another chance to bring wholeness to yourself. I think this is what I definitely learned from both of you, and some work for me to do, definitely. And I love doing that. Just as the last question, we are in this turmoil situation where so much is happening in a global situation and global transformation, and definitely also cross-generational wounds coming up intensely. What did our parents bring to us that we are here to heal now in this generation? Because we're definitely asked to heal and look at some issues that is seen in the world. Could you say that this is the right question, or did I completely mess up the question? Yeah, I messed up. Say it in yours,
for me, it sounds a little bit spiritual, that we have a duty and a task, and to fulfill that's my thinking. It's not so much what my IOPT theory is about, but what you can see, Marta mentioned it already, there's so much trauma since generations, so much violence in our human relationships. starting with family, man and woman relationship, with the parent and children relationships, and it's going on in the economy. It's going on in the level of the states, where all this competition and then all the wars coming on. There's so much traumatization, and the only thing I think that really would help us coming out of this situation, if everyone would understand more about human psyche and how human psyche can be traumatized. And if every one of us would take responsibility for his own existence, for his own psychological states, that I look at myself. And when you do this, I'm so sure, and I see it. Before we have this interview, I had a workshop with 60 people from Brazil and Portugal. And in the end, it was like this. We did 3 processes. In the end, were like this, that someone said, every process was something for me. And that is how we can make good communities, good societies. If you go through your own process and do the work for yourself, do the trauma work for yourself, this is it's something that's so much healing for all of us, for all others. Yeah? And don't sacrifice yourself for the community. Don't sacrifice your life, or don't sacrifice your health for the community. It won't be worth anything. It would continue the traumatization. But look at yourself. Look that you enjoy your life, that you have a happy life. This is how we could create better communities as we have them nowadays.
So what you're saying, it's not about blaming our parents, or saying, okay, they brought this into our lives, they didn't work through World War II, so now we have to do the whole burden. It's not about blaming outside. It's taking what you see in the outside and work on the issues that it brings up. Yep. And my last question, I asked it, but I don't know if I asked it in this talk show, Franz, because many people would say, when they're politically active right now, or when they feel they want to do something, they would say, yes, but can I still be then politically active? Or when I'm healing myself, is it dropping away? Or am I just not taking care of contributing to the world? Is it very selfish? Is I'm only taking care of myself? This is what I hear many people asking. Maybe you can both say something to this as a final last question. Marta.
I know this question, this is it selfish? And I can understand it from the level that people don't understand trauma. But if you understand trauma, you know what that does to us. How can it be good for anyone else that I go around in the society being traumatized? How can that be helpful for anyone? I see it the other way around. It's healthy. It helps me. It helps the community around me. When I work on my trauma, the more healthy I am, the more healthy is my society. And then I also know when I want to step out of an unhealthy relationship or unhealthy society. But I understand what people are saying, because they don't know the depth of the trauma. They don't know that trauma is splitting I from self and making survival strategies, and that we go around in the world apparently normal functioning. But apparently normal is mixing of survival and healthy. And we need to come back to our healthy parts and regain the life force in us, the joy of life. And I can't understand that this is selfish. I have this life. I want to enjoy this life. I think this makes it also easier for people around me, like my children, my friends, that I'm happy and enjoy my life.
And,
yes.
and if you can say, for example, you can say that it's needed to tell the truth, yeah, because in a situation where there's so much lies, there's so much lying, that it's very important that someone stands up and tell the truth. But as long as you do not understand the truth about yourself, and you lie to yourself, and you lie about your own biography and something like that, how can you tell the truth about others? How can you tell the truth about the situation in the society? It's not possible. And so this is what I realized. The more I'm truthful to me, the more I'm really understand the truth of my life, the more I see what's going on in the outside, the more I can formulate in clear words what's going on. The more I can demask those lies around me and tell them, okay, that's a lie for me, that's not true. And I don't want to come into a perpetrator-victim dynamic with you, but I stay with my truth.
Yeah, I can absolutely, from intensely also working the last years, I could see in the first phase of lockdowns and everything what happened, I went through lots of emotions and also anger, seeing outside. Working through, I don't even have, it's very different now. I don't even have the need, I don't even feel, I just feel like building a good place for a community where I feel to bring in more light and more awareness, and also in my own life. So I can totally relate to what you both say.
May I tell them basic truth?
Yes, please.
About our societies?
Please.
The quality of our society, you can see how they treat their children. And if you look at the situation in a moment, how badly the children are treated, it's a clearly sign how traumatized this society is. A healthy society would never do this to the children, forcing them to wear masks, now even forcing them to be vaccinated, whatever, would never do it. And this is the reason why we are in traumatized societies, because children are so badly treated, and that money is worth more than the health of children. They put the children very early in some foster care communities, or all these birth processes with the medical system, where systematically our mothers and children are traumatized by the gynecology in the medical system. But this is where all starts, and it ends in the craziness we are in the moment. This is, for me, this is one of the basic truths I understand and I see, because of understanding my own truth, the truth of my own childhood and growing up.
I think so many questions, and we cannot cover everything, but definitely people are interested in working with you or get more information about you. Mothers and also mothers who have young kids, but also daughters who have elderly parents. Where can they find you? You're doing work together. I'm going to see you together next year. So I have this blessing and treat with you guys next year. But Martha, first of all, where can they find you in Norway?
They can find me in Oslo, in the capital of Oslo, and I'm running groups and trainings. That's what I'm doing. I have students from all over the world, and on iopt.no, all the programs are there. We also have online studies in English, advanced trainings, and also international trainings with France. So IOPT.
I put it in the text box. The link is put definitely in the text box. Thank you so much. This is Oslo, Norway, and then Germany. I know, Franz, you're always, I'm always in awe. Like, I think a few weeks ago it was Russia. You were, you had a tent. You were so excited about your group in Russia. Now you talk about Brazil. So you are internationally so gung-ho. Where can people find you?
Yeah, have a look at my webpage.
Okay, I put it in the link.
Give in my name and you find my webpage, and then there's all my activities I'm doing.
I think it's important that you give also open evenings, so people who might be a little bit afraid, but they are feeling like, I would like to check it out. You guys are giving open evenings to explore and find out for themselves. So thank you so much. I really appreciated this. It was very eye-opening and also healing and helpful for me. So thank you so much from Lindau to Oslo, Norway, and to Munich, Germany. And I see you latest next year. Bye-bye. 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 And wherever you are, guys, have a beautiful and soulful rest of your day. Bye-bye.